how to get top influencers to notice you and work with you. So in this episode, you are going to discover many new strategies to do Dream 100. And if you're not familiar with the term Dream 100, it's basically a list of high-level people that you want to build a connection with, so you can have them promote you, promote your stuff, right? Promote you to their audience. So that's basically what Dream 100 is, okay? It doesn't have to be 100 people, but that's the exact number. That's the ideal number of people that you should have before promoting your product, okay? So one thing you have to know here, some of the audio qualities here may sound bad, okay? And it was because both of our internet connections were not really good at that time. But it was only at the early part. Okay, he was only at the early part. So, and it actually became good after a few minutes. So please bear with it, okay? So today's guest is Ahmed. He is an entrepreneur who have interviewed over 50, 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs on his show, Interviews with Entrepreneurs. Okay, so that is too many entrepreneurs there, right? So anyway, he is called the Champion of The Dream100 and managed to turn the wisdom of the top 1% entrepreneurs in a book. So basically, he interviewed these top entrepreneurs and turned their wisdom into a book. So he has a book now. It's called Decades in Days. You can check that out. So before we begin here, I just want to let you know that this is the first part series of the whole interview. So if you don't want to miss out another part, make sure to subscribe or follow this podcast, okay? And when you do that, you're going to discover more about how to market your stuff through your content, how to craft a compelling content so that you can make people buy whatever it is you are selling. Is that cool, right? So click that subscribe button or follow button. Okay, click. All right. So let's begin. So here are the biggest questions when it comes to content marketing. Why does the content that gets tons of likes and comments does not make more money than the one with a few likes? And why do some influencers with more than 10,000 followers are still broke, while the ones with a few hundreds only make a fortune? And how come the content that is so good still cannot convince people to buy while the simplest one can? Well, today, people are obsessed with the number of followers, likes and comments whenever they put out content. And the truth is, those things are what makes people broke. So how do these successful marketers create content that generates money? Those are the questions, and on this podcast, you'll find the answers. I'm your host, Ashraf, and you're listening to Content Marketing Hacks. What is up, RJ? Welcome to the Content Marketing Hacks podcast. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, man, for having me. Finally, we made it over here.
Yeah, the last time we met, we had a bad internet connection. Hopefully, it doesn't happen, for now. Okay, so.
Hope for the best.
First off, RJ, I really want to congrats, for publishing the first book, right? Is that your first book?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so the book is called Days in Decades. Decades in Days, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Decades in Days. Yeah. That was such a good book, actually. And right, so before we talk about the book, and we have met before, and I see that you have come a long way, actually. The first time we met, it was in podcasting group, right? From Jamie. I remember all the members in that group. We were competing against each other to win some prize, right? And I remember that you never stopped. I remember you never stopped commenting. Like, wow, did this guy even sleep or not? Did you sleep? Did you sleep or not at that time?
I'm a night owl. I was like super focused. I was like, I have to get this course out there. It was like so catchy. And I saw like there are some people sort of get competitive a lot. I was like, I have to get it. I have to try something else. So I slept little bit, and I had some sort of advantage of time zones, since they were in US and I'm on the other side of the world. So I had kind of an advantage of that as well. So yeah, so I kind of not sleeping that much.
Wow. I like that. Persistent, right? Did you win any prize at that time? I don't remember. Oh, you win one. What was it that you win?
Yeah, I do. I was the top. Yeah, I was in top 3. I think there was a course out there around content. I think content masterclass, something like that. It was in the top 3, and yeah, that was the prize that I got, being in the top 3 out there. So yeah, I was this close for being on the top second and first. Yeah.
Wow. That was cool. That was cool. So, RJ, as I mentioned in intro, we are going to talk about how you get all these top entrepreneurs to be on your show, right? Or how do you get people, all these top marketers to work with you, right? So first off, I want to start with when you were starting out, right? When you were starting out from nothing, how did you get in front of these big influencers?
Yeah. So actually, I haven't thought about any sort of the interviews or show, because when you start out on the total other side of the world, you have a different sort of mindset, and you don't have that kind of a leverage out there, being in the tier 3 country, and then like start to interview these like multiple 7 entrepreneurs. So you don't have any sort of kind of. I was interview that I really did was with Alex Elliott. She had a one group away challenge launch, and I did the very first interview on my show itself. It wasn't official version of my show, but I really wanted it to be doing live, and it was very first time that I really published in front of the camera as well, because I really wanted to be on the camera, and I wanted to surpass all of my I had. One of the common questions I was probably not my what if it's not. If it's not negative or not you, there are going to be some people here and there who's going to be like, hey, your English, that's okay. I do not have any problem with that. Those people probably not going to match me as well. So that was my very first subject, which I tried to overcome in my very first interview. The second thing I had was I don't look pretty on camera. I was like, I learned 2 years of that reason. I want to have a perfect camera. But when I started, I had nothing. No, it was complete rough. It was 4 a.m. in the morning. I had one hand free of PlayStation 4. I was using my webcam, and that was it. Because I had it to start imperfect. If you don't start from the worst, there's not the best. So you have to start from the worst in order to become the best in anything. So you start worst. So I wanted to start worst out there. So when I started to interview Alex, and then I got like 2 to 3 guests on the show. Even during that time, I was watching some of my friends or some of the people I follow was doing awesome interviews, like getting huge guests like Josh Forty. I'm interviewing Josh Forty tomorrow, which is huge. And Josh Forty was getting like so many awesome, but they weren't like kind of like consistent. And I'm not saying against some of it, but I didn't saw any frequency of being consistent doing show. So it helped me to get motivated. But even Russell Brunson talks about have your own distribution channel, the power of your own distribution channel, everything. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my show and everything out there, even though I don't know how to do it. I'm gonna figure it out everything later on. On January 2020, I reached out to Spencer. I was like, hey man, I would love to have you on my show. And if people don't know who Spencer Makam is, he's a 7-figure affiliate marketer, one of the top affiliates in ClickFunnels, the $1 million affiliate. So I reached out to Spencer after the group, since I know he's like super engaging in his Facebook group, engaged a lot. Finally managed to end up in his inbox that everyone should do. And I reached out to Spencer, and I was like, hey man, I would love to have you on my show, but not now since it's funnel hacking lifetime. So we're going to do it like almost around 2 months later. I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it after 2 months, but I want to have you as my first guest. I'm not going to do any show. Wow. So I waited for 2 months around, and then the Traffic Secrets launch came up, and everyone was like providing their own bonuses, their own offers. Spencer came up with his awesome offer as well, and I was like, hey Spencer, if you give me 30 minutes of your time, again, he's a 7-figure affiliate marketer. He don't need my 40 bucks commission to even provide me 30 minutes of his time. He don't really owe me anything, but still he was so humble and so kind. He finally reached out to me on DM, but with the intent that you had the intention of booking me up on a show. I already owed you that. So don't buy the box set just because you wanted to have me on the show. And he literally said that, but I was like, man, I'm a man of my words. I said I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it. I just went there. I buy the trilogy box set because I wanted to make sure what I say, I do that thing as well. Nothing to him, but I still bought it. I wanted to show my level of respect for him. Gratitude is important. So I'm super nervous as well, but I really messed the show up. People don't understand. Whatever you do, that 30 minutes you spend the time on your show with the guest plays the most part when you're doing your show, especially. So I was asking a ridiculous question with Spencer. Questions are like, hey Spencer, could you tell me, is that backdrop is made of wood or plastic? I was asking these questions to Spencer, which is crazy.
Oh my goodness.
And that was a crazy thing that I really asked. And some people even said to me when I was doing recent press tour, some people said, hey, if you ask that question, probably there were other people who had that exact same question in mind as well. That's the reason you probably asked. I was like, even though I asked that question, that wasn't the perfect spot for me to ask that ridiculous question. But I did. When the interview ended, I felt like that I really messed up that interview. I felt like the Spencer never going to like me. Spencer never going to respond to me. Spencer going to hate me. That was the thoughts that it came to my mind. So this was kind of my first experience of me doing the show. But when I became consistent, when I started to get more guests, my second guest was at Shake. Then I got Funnel Dog. Then I got like other so many people out there. It's like 55. I can't even remember so many names now. That's how I started to overcome everything. To become the best, you have to deal with the worst.
Yeah. Wow. I love that quote. To become the best, you have to be the worst. You know what? I'm going to make a shirt out of that.
Yep.
Write it on here, right?
Do it, man.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. And then RJ Ahmed. Wow. That was so cool. Yeah. So, okay. That's how you start, that's how you start a show. And why did you, came into the Dream100 space? And how did you come up with the course of Dream100? When did you start teaching that?
So initially, when I started doing the show, I didn't had any plan that I'm going to teach Dream100. Because even though, like, if people don't know what Dream100 is, it's essentially a concept of how you build a relationship with top influencers in your market. So in the long run, they're going to promote your products. That's what Dream100 is. So my plan wasn't to do anything like Dream100 to teach other people, because there are people like Russell Brunson, there are people like Dana Derricks. So I didn't have any plan. But when I started to do shows, people started to notice that I'm really doing Dream100 effectively using interviews. And especially, I started to have that leverage that, hey, me being on the top tier 3 countries, being an Asian, started to get these top entrepreneurs who are like the industry leaders in our market. I started to get them on our show, but not just get them, but also build relations with them. That was the thing that people started to notice at the moment. And people started to be like, hey, you're doing Dream100. I was like, yeah, I'm doing that. Even though I knew what it was, I wasn't was talking about, hey, go and buy my course. I didn't even have the intent of making that course, anything. So people started to talk about it a lot. And there was a time that came up when, let's say in ClickFunnels group, people ask about Dream100. People started to mention me over there. I started to realize that, hey, people really want this stuff. So then I came about, hey, what if I create a masterclass where I teach you how to master Dream100, but using interviews? Because here's the thing. I want to add one more thing out there into it is when I started to talk about Dream100 a lot, my intent was never to drag down or pull down Dana or Russell Brunson. They are the people who literally made Dream100 what it's all about in this space right now. They made that concept as a living example of it. So I really don't want to drag down any of them. What I really wanted to do is I wanted to narrow it down into one more perspective that it can be done in this way as well. And let me show you how to do it. Okay. So that was what my intention was. And, when I started to teach Dream100 a lot, there was a time when Dana Derricks reached out to me. And that was the craziest thing happened to me as well, because I never thought about that. Dana Derricks reached out to me and he said to me that, hey man, I'm so glad how you're successfully doing Dream100 and keep doing on that work. Now, if you're getting that compliment from a guy who literally do everything about Dream100, that's a huge comment. And I'm not talking about, or I'm not bragging at all, but when Dana reached out to me, it stated me that what I'm doing works. I don't need any validation now, what I'm really doing. So that's how I really started to talk about way more about Dream100. So yeah, like that's what people, really know me at the moment.
Wow, that's cool. Did he also purchase the course?
He didn't, but here's the thing. He created a special training in my masterclass of all you need to know about Dream100. And now think of it in this way. If he thought about me as a competitor, or if I positioned myself as a competitor, then he would have even said yes. I got him 2 times. One time he did training, which I highly appreciable, for that. He did a training in my masterclass, and he also,
Wow.
I got him on my show as well, So he said that I really don't do these type of things more often, but he really did that for me, which was huge. So he did a training.
Yeah.
He didn't about the masterclass. He don't need to, but he did a training in my masterclass of the things you need to know about Dream100. So yeah.
Wow, that's even more powerful. He did a training on your masterclass. Dang. Then okay,
Wow.
so that's cool. When you reach out to them, right? What makes you unique? I mean, I want to know how do you position yourself as a unique person?
I think when you talking about when he did the training in my course, is that correct?
I mean, like when you reach out to your Dream100, what makes you stand out so that they want to partner up with you? Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I really wanted to, every person in the space, especially the people who are industry leaders, they know each of them. Everyone knows everyone on the top. And that is one of the things that really said by one of my really good friends. He's also the part of the book as well. But he said that everyone knows everyone to the top. And that started to make sense. Let's say if I'm getting, Steve Larson on my show, if I'm getting Steve, and let's say he loved to be on my show, he knows my show exists, he knows my existence. Third thing, probably he's going to reshare that content. There are people like Russell who's going to follow him. There are people like Marley who's going to follow him. The people going to be like Marin Golden's going to follow him. They're going to watch that particular thing. After they're going to watch like multiple times on different people out there, they're going to understand that I exist in the space. So when I'm going to reach out to them now they know that I exist. So oftentimes it happens that when I reached out to any guest and we got on the backstage and they were like, RJ, we saw you interviewed so many of our friends. I was like, yeah, let me know who is the person who's left. Let me know about that. So that already creates a rapport for me. And it really helped me to connect with a lot of Dream100 out there, even work on some stuff out there with them as well, And yeah, for me, what makes myself unique is I literally position my show, which not only get them, sort of more exposure, even though they don't need it, more exposure, but also help them to, be more, good in spreading wisdom. I am really good in asking good questions and they provide good answers. So I create a good experience for them in a show. And when they love it, they love to stay connected with me. If they don't, they're probably not going to get connected with me then. So that's how I really made something that really unique for myself. So I really focus on those 30 minutes I really spend with the guest, because that 30 minutes play a lot role. People just don't focus on that. They just don't want to do interview, or they just want to get the guest, and that's it. I make sure that the guest who gets on my show have a good experience when they get on my show.
Wow. Okay. And how do you make the experience the best?
Yeah. So kind of funny out there that I have a few days, I think it's like probably a week from now, I did a Platinum Affiliate Mastermind event. I was a speaker in that event with guys like Peng Joon, which was nothing but honor.
Yeah, I saw that.
For me. Yeah, which is huge, by the way. Yeah. And that's the thing I really talked about in the training. I was talking about how you have to do the actual interview. So I have a whole framework. So what I really do is I make sure that I ask good questions. I make sure I do a research, of the overlap questions. I don't want it to be like, hey, everyone is asking the exact same questions again and again and again and again. Probably it's your first time asking that question, but it's not your guest's first time. You have to make their experience better. So I make sure I listen to their interviews. I make sure I ask questions that is related to them on the personal level, which, invokes them as well. Talk about it a lot. And, these type of things. And that is also one of the reasons out there how it makes good experience for them. If you are not energetic, if you do not know what you're talking about, if you haven't done your research, what's happening in their current state of business, if you don't do research, what you need to ask, if you're asking generic question, let's say you're asking, what is your favorite book? What type of question are you asking? Like, really? You have a person who made 7 figures or like 8 figures and you're asking this question? Doesn't make sense. Why can't you Google what books does Bill Gates read? You can surely can Google that. So like, don't ask these type of questions. So that is the reason why they really loved to be on my show. And that is the reason why some of them came on my show multiple times. Like Catherine Jones was on my show multiple times. Jonathan Montoya, he's also like a good 6-figure affiliate marketer, got on my show multiple times. Steve Larson got on my show multiple times, which he really said that he don't get on shows more often, 2 times on screen. But he got on my show. Why? Because he really loved my show, loved the experience of it, really knew who I was. So her assistant reached out to me and we booked the show. So you have to make sure you crush that show.
Nice. So okay, so the key point here is to ask the better questions, right? That's one of the way to make an interview better. So now that you have them, you have built a relationship with them, and what are you going to do with that relationship?
Yeah, so I want to add one thing into it. In the long run, I want to be, first of all, their friends. I want to convert that a relationship of me having them as their Dream 100 to a friend mode. Because I want to be the part of their world, but I won't have them to be the part of my world. Okay? So that's what I usually do. When I have my Dream 100, I try to become more open with them so that it starts to build me a more friendly connection with them. So you have to become friend first in order for you to ask anything. The next thing is leveraging them. But again, leverage, don't use. Use is a negative connotation out there where everyone's saying use them. Leverage. It's like using, when you say using their audience, using them, it sounds negative. When you say leverage, you're kind of like helping them as well. And you're also helping yourself as well with something. When I work on that particular book, there are so many people out there who don't have their own book. So when I reached out to them and I told them, hey, I would love to have you in my book as a chapter, some of them were like, dude, you're 21, you're writing a book? And there's multi-7 and 8-figure entrepreneurs. Not everyone have a book. So that is one of the things that, they've already embedded in my thing for kind of forever. Ever since, the time being where the book is going to stay, they're going to stay in that particular thing, So I am doing something for them. And probably they're going to be a moment. I've sent all of them the copies of the book. You're probably going to see some of them going to promote the copies, or you're going to see on their profile when they're going to receive it. That's what it happens. Yeah. I really provided them value, and then they're going to provide kind of me value in that sort of context.
Yeah. I love that how you provide value first to them, right? You make them, in terms of making, letting them get more exposure, right? So yeah, that's cool. So, I want to know when is it the right time to ask them? Let's say you have leveraged them, you have built relationship with them, and you kind of want to leverage that, right? So when is it the right time to ask that?
I think when we talk about like for them to do the promotion and everything, you ask them when the answer is probably gonna be a yes. Okay, and I want to add one more thing out there. You have to ask. That's the first thing. Even though, I was reading a book, Sell Like Crazy by Sabi Subri. It's an awesome book. But in that book, it states a no is an interest. Okay. If someone says no, it's better to get a no rather than getting ignored, getting ghosted, getting a no, getting nothing as an answer. Even if you get no, you can turn that no to a yes. You can ask someone out there, hey, what is going to be the perfect time where that no is going to be a yes? So in any state, you have to ask them when you kind of know that answer is probably going to be yes. So you get to know about that stuff 100%. You can't ask someone to promote right away when you reach out to them on the very first time. 100% they're not going to do it either ways. They're going to do, or they're going to promote it when you really know that's the time to do it. And let me make it more clear for other people out there. When you know that you made so much connections with them, when you know they're super happy with you, super satisfied with you as a person, and there is something for them as well at the moment. And when you ask them to do it, most of the time they're gonna say yes to it. And even if, let's say you're reaching out to 100 people, even 10 of them gonna say yes, those 10 of them are gonna change your fortune. It's gonna change your life how to do it. Because all it needs is one person to say yes. That's the main thing. So yeah, most people don't even reach out. Most people are always wondering like how to get guests on the show, how to do this, how to do that. You didn't even bother to reach out to those guests. You have to reach out to them first.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Yeah, I love that. I remember I also had that kind of afraid of how do you say that? Scarcity. I was afraid at that time. I also, so I know how it feels to reach out to these big people. It has a higher chance to get them to say no, but there's a strategy to get them to say yes. So I like how you get them to say yes at this stuff, right? So have you asked them to do something? Like, have you asked them to do any promotion?
Well, even right now, I'm kind of doing the exact same thing that I'm talking about. I'm doing kind of a promotion. If I am putting them in the book, that's the first place. That's the kind of value that I'm providing. Second thing, what I'm doing is I'm sending them the copy of the book, me paying it. Okay. I'm paying for the copy. And if I'm sending them the copy, if they're going to read the chapter, if they're going to love it, they're going to love to share it as well. You have to make sure you do the follow-up correctly. So for myself out there, even in this case, that's a kind of a live case study. I'm doing it right now. So I'm sending them the copy. When the copy gets to their hands, I'm probably going to do a follow-up. Say, hey, I'm hoping that you're going to love your copy out there. If you love it, don't forget to share with your people. I'm not saying promote. Share with your people out there. If you love it, share it with your peeps. Just do it. If they're going to love it, they're going to go in and share it with their people out there. And what happens if they do? When they're going to share it, that's super simple. People are going to come into your funnel buying the copy of your books. So you have to ask, but you have to ask strategically. You have to ask in a way, words play a lot of roles out there in our space and in general as well. If you ask them promote, if you ask them to share with the people, that's kind of a different thing, but ends up with the same thing out there. You getting me?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm exactly doing at this particular moment. I have ordered like 30 copies for sending my 30 Dream100 who are the part of the book. And even like, let's say 10 of them going to do it. Some of them are like pure affiliate marketers. Some of them are like a 7-figure or 6-figure affiliate marketer. All they do is affiliate marketing.
Yeah.
Even only them going to do it. It's like crazy results. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now as well.
That's okay. First off, I want to say that's a really smart strategy because, you are using a podcast to interview them and then you make a book out of it. That's actually really smart. I have never thought about it that way.
Most of the people haven't thought about, to be very honest. Most of the people haven't thought about. When I talked about this stuff in Platinum Affiliate Mastermind event, they were awesome people. They were like, was it even possible to do that? Was it even possible to convert your interviews content into a book? Wow. Okay, that's crazy. So they really love that thing. No one, mostly in our space, have used it that exact same way. There are some books that are kind of similar, but it's not the exact same thing. Like, let's say 30-day summit book, which you get in One Funnel Away challenge. But again, that summit was written first and then it was recorded. It was written first by those guest speakers. Over here, this is spoken and I just used their wisdom and turned it into a book. So they haven't done kind of nothing.
Yeah.
Apart from being on my show.
Yeah. That's cool. And, one thing I'm curious about is, in your book, you got Dave Woodward, Dave Woodward. Yeah. He's the CEO of Clickfunnel. How did you get him? Okay. That's insane actually.
That's a really good question, by the way. How I really get Dave Woodward. Again, you have to create, for any person you want to get on the show, you have to create your existence. First thing, his son, Parker Woodward, he's a really good friend of mine now. I got him on the show as well. He's also the part of the book as well. So again, like I have really built that sort of connection with him, and I became a really good friend with him as well. And I knew that, okay, what is the best way I can go in and reach out to Dave Woodward as well, even though if he's busy or even though something like that comes up. I knew who his assistant was, like I reached out to her assistant. I was like, hey, I've interviewed Parker, which is his son. I've interviewed Parker. I would love to have Dave on my show as well. Let me know what his thoughts are. And he was like, cool, why not? Let's do it. Why so? Because I already got someone who's really connected to him. It was his son, kind of. And I'm not again talking about like juicing. It's like when you have guests on your show, you can just use that as a reference to get other people. Same what I did with Dave. And he really liked that interview, by the way. He really loved the show. And that's how I even reached out to him, and he said yes, also to be the part of the book, because I never wrote the book completely randomly. I reached out to every guest just to make sure they say yes, just to make sure that I don't get into any legal problems after I launch the book. I don't want it to be in any sort of that mess. So all of them said yes. There was only one guy I don't want to name because of privacy. I respect that. I respect his decision because I still had so many other interviews. I still had so many other guests. So I would have chosen the other person. So that's how Dave said yes. And I finally got him and managed him to send the book as well. So yeah, that's how it really happened. Yeah, CEO of Clickfunnel.
Yeah. CEO of Clickfunnel is kind of close to Russell Brunson, and yeah.
And here's the crazy thing: he was actually with Russell before he got on the call with me on the interview. So he was with Russell, and then he got on my interview after that. So he got a bit late, but I was completely fine with that. But he was with Russell; he was working on some stuff. So I was like, "Oh my god, that's crazy."
So Russell was behind him?
Not behind him, but he was like kind of he was with Russell Brunson at the moment, and then he came to do the show. So yeah, that's what he told me at that moment.
I see.
Yeah.
So you connect with the son first, with the Dave son first, then you ask Parker to get his father to be interviewed. Is that right? So
I got Parker.
Like the process that you did.
I got Parker on my show first. So when even I reached out to Parker Woodward on my show, he knew who I was. And even when he got on my show, he watched some of my interviews. He saw my interview with Steve Larson. He saw my interview with Catherine Jones. And when we got on the show was pretty good. And we also talked a lot of stuff after the show end, started to make that connection with him. When I started to build that connection, even that also helped me as well. So when I reached out to Dave's assistant, I just let her know that, hey, I've interviewed Parker as well as some of my guests, and also interviewed like so many other let's say 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs. I would love to Dave on my show. Let me know what he said. And then bam, he said yes. And I just sent him the calendar and we got Dave on the show.
Wow. That's nice. That's nice. I like the process. It's simple. It's not hard that one, what most people think, right? It's simpler than I thought, actually.
I think people just don't take action. People just don't take action. That's the first place. And other guests who want to be on your show, sometimes, they don't have any problem being your first guest or second guest or third guest, but people would love to be on your show where you have a credibility. I wanted to have a credibility on my show. I wanted to make my show credible. So when I got like all of these like 7, 8 figure entrepreneurs, it makes my show credible. I even got Amanda Holmes, which is the daughter of Chet Holmes, the daughter of Chet Holmes on my show itself. So all of these happen like that. I even have right now, I have so many shows booked up for, let's say, for the next 8 weeks. It's like 8 weeks are pretty booked. I even booked like John Lee Dumas and like George Forty is coming tomorrow. There are other like 2 CCC award winner who's getting on the show as well next week. Yeah.
All right, there you go. The first part series of how to get top influencers to notice you and work with you. So if you don't want to miss out on another part, make sure to subscribe or follow this podcast if you haven't already. Okay, because we have so much content about content marketing. So it's basically how to market your stuff through your content, how to sell anything through your content, how to create stories, right? So everything about content marketing you are going to discover on this podcast. So click that subscribe button or follow button, okay? So always remember, be a content marketer, not a content creator, because that's how you make money. If you want to get people to buy your offer, no matter how much it costs, keep listening. The reason why entrepreneurs could not sell their offer is because they target the wrong customer. And even if they get it right, they still don't know how to sell it, right? So I put together an ebook. It shows you a step-by-step process on how to target the right customer, create a sales message to attract them, and get them to buy your stuff. Amazing, right? So if this is something you're looking for, you can grab it at bit.ly/perfect client ebook. Again, that's bit.ly/perfect client ebook. And if you don't know spelling, the link is in the description below. Grab it now.